Disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. Hacking is illegal, don't do it without permission. Hey guys, I'm Cybertronics and today I'm going to be teaching you how to use a tool called NMAP to map networks. Now, as a hacker or ethical hacker or penetration tester, whatever it is you want to call yourself, the very first thing you want to do once you breach a network is to map it so that you can see what devices are on it, how many devices are on it, what operating systems are running, what services are running, and the versions of the services. We can do all these things and much more using NMAP. And it's important to know all these things because as a hacker, ultimately your goal is to exploit a system or, take advantage of a service that may be exploitable. And we wouldn't know these things without first finding them. So to find them, we use NMAP. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, for today's video, we're going to be using our kalilinux VM as usual. If you're not using kalilinux and you're using another distro Linux like say Ubuntu, then you may not have NMAP installed. So if that's the case, let's show you how you can do that through the terminal. You're going to open up your terminal and you're going to type in apt install NMAP, and that's going to go ahead and install NMAP for you if you don't already have it installed, or if you're not using a pen testing Linux distro like Kali or Parrot. So once you've got NMAP on your system and ready to go, you're gonna go ahead and find the IP address that your host is and also the subnet that it's on so that you can scan the entire subnet if you wish. Now to find what subnet you're on and also the IP address, you're gonna type in on Linux, you're gonna type in IPA, and it's gonna show you the interfaces that you're connected through. And for me, it's just the E0. And E0, my IP address is 10.0.0.157, and the CIDR number for the subnet is 24. So the CIDR number is going to be very important, guys, for these NMAP scans, because if you want to scan the entire network, it's important to know the CIDR number of the network that you're on. And so we just found it right now. We see that it's 24. So going forward, we're going to remember that. Now, the first thing we want to do is map the network for how many devices are on it, right? So we're going to just do a simple ping scan of the entire network to see how many devices are actually on this network. So to do that, you're going to type in NMAP, you're going to put in the IP address of your host, and you're going to put in the CIDR number, and you're going to specify the TAC SN option. This is going to scan the network with pings to ping every system or device on the network. So you're going to hit enter, and it'll take a few seconds. And as you can see here, guys, these are all the devices connected to my network. As you can see right here, it's 7 of them, 7 hosts are up. And it even tells you here, it gives you a little banner telling you, what it may be. Canon, this is probably a printer. Google, probably a smart device of some sort, right? So anyway, now that we know how many devices are on the network, we can actually go ahead and get started with scanning the network for open ports, services, and what kind of versions, etc. So to do that, we're going to type in NMAP, and we're going to put in our IP address, and we're going to specify the CIDR number again, because for this particular scan that we're doing right now, we want to scan the entire network, all the devices on the network. We're going to be scanning simultaneously for any open ports. We're going to be scanning for their operating systems, and we're going to be scanning for the services and their versions. So to do that, you're going to put in NMAP, the IP address with the CIDR number, and you're going to specify the TAC O option for operating system. So this option is so that NMAP scans for the most likely operating system of the devices it's scanning. So you're going to specify the TAC S, capital V, and this is the service scanner. So this is going to basically scan for what service is actually running on any open port and the versions. So once you do that, you're going to type in enter, and it may take a few seconds here. All right, guys, and now we have our results. So let's go ahead and check them out. All right, the first device here that you can see, as you can already see, the version of the service says Xfinity Broadband Router Server. So sometimes, most of the times actually, a lot of these ports, the services will give you an idea of what the device actually is just by running the service scan, because usually the services, they kind of give away what the device is depending on what service is running, right? So for example, in this one, we could tell that this IP address right here is obviously a router. So we've got all these open ports. Some of them are filtered. Filtered basically means closed, like pretty much. So yeah, this is a script that it ran. I believe the service scan comes with a script, but you can also give it the script argument to run default scripts with the tag S capital C. And another tip, guys, real quick, so if you wanted to see all the options that NMAP lets you use, you type in NMAP tag help, and it gives you all these options that you could use. You could read through this in case you want to see it for yourself. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue with the results. So we've got this Xfinity router here. That's the first device we see. A lot of these devices have closed ports, but we see an interesting one right here, 10.0.0.221, and this looks to be like a Chromecast, guys. Again, the service gave it away. If you look here, it says no exact OS matches. So for the operating system scan, it probably wouldn't have been able to figure it out. But since the service had this banner on it which said Ninja Sphere Chromecast driver, we can assume safely that this is probably a Chromecast. So if we wanted to, for example, go further into this port right here and scan it even more in depth for this specific port right here for this device, we could go ahead and type in NMAP 10.0.0.1, what was it again? C221, okay. .221, and we'd specify the port. It's 8009, and let's say we wanted to do an aggressive scan on it. And an aggressive scan, guys, is basically just an operating system scan, a service scan, and a script scan all thrown into one. So basically the last scan we did, but on a specific port and with the added script, tag SC script, and it's all bundled into one. So that's what the tag A, capital A, is. So that's an aggressive scan. So we're gonna go ahead and run an aggressive scan on a specific port, which is port 8009, which is where that service was running that gave away that it's a Chromecast. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, and we have our results for the specific port scan that we wanted. So as you can see here, we've got information on port 8009, which we specified. We've got the service, the version, and it ran a default script because we gave it the aggressive scan option, which is based, again, like I said, operating system guessing, services, versions, and script scanning. So the script scanning, if you don't give it a specific script, it's gonna just do default scripts for whatever port is open. So these scripts can be anything from brute forcing to enumeration to fingerprinting, etc. So yeah, guys, if you wanted to also scan every single port, because NMAP by default, I believe it scans the top 1,000 most used ports or something like that. But if you wanted to scan every single port, which is a lot, it's like 65,000 or something. So if you were to do this, you'd probably want to speed up the scan, or you may be ready to wait for a while. You just type in NMAP, you put in the IP address of the device you want to scan the ports of, and you type in tag P tag, and that'll scan every single port. But you could also give it the argument to do an operating system scan on the ports, or service, right, or an aggressive, say tag A, and this will aggressively scan every single port on the device that you specified, or even on the entire network if you wish to, by giving it the CIDR number. So, but just keep in mind, if you're going to do this, the scan may take a while, so you may want to speed it up, or you may not want to speed it up and you may just have to wait. But it will take significantly longer than just running it for the top 1,000 ports, okay? So one last thing I want to get into before we top this video off is UDP ports. And a lot of people tend to skip this over, but it's important to also know what UDP ports are open, and you can do that with NMAP. So, we've got TCP and we've got UDP. You've kind of got to understand a bit about those protocols to know what you're working with. So, you got to get into like networking. The CompTIA stuff is great. So, get an idea of UDP and TCP, but the idea is you want to scan for also UDP ports as well as TCP ports. So to do that, we're going to scan the UDP ports for the device, the Chromecast, and we're going to specify S, capital U, capital V. The capital U is the UDP, the V is the version for the services that are running on that UDP port, and you're going to specify tag T, capital T, and we're going to put 4 for this scan. And the reason, guys, is because tag T is basically the time that you want the NMAP scan to run as. So basically meaning, do you want it to run faster, do you want it to run slower? It ranges from 1 through 5. The default that NMAP uses without specifying is 3, and we're going to be using 4 to step up the speed a bit in this scan. And if you put it at 5, it'll be incredibly much faster, but it'll also be noisier. and it'll also be less accurate. So keep that in mind. And we're just gonna give it the top ports option because we don't want the scan to take too long, because again, this says UDP, so we're just gonna scan the top 250 ports for UDP and see what we get back. So we're gonna hit enter, and took no time at all, as you can see here, and it's found us a closed port, one closed port on 631. Service is IPP. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but it found it. So the point is that you want to scan for UDP, and this is how you can scan for UDP ports. And yeah, guys, so that's basically all I had to let you guys know. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video, and drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and without further ado, let's get up out of here.